Okay, we're going to review simple present and present progressive verb tenses. So let's first compare them. There are two ways to show present time in English. Use the simple present for repeated actions, which are actions that happen over and over again. And use the present progressive, which is also called present continuous, for continuing actions, actions that are happening now. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at those two things. So here you see the simple present, and the pattern for that is the base verb, which is another name for the present tense, or the present form of the verb, plus an S. Sometimes. It ends in S if you're using he, she, it, singular count nouns and non-count nouns. It's a little different in present progressive though, because present progressive uses be plus ing verb, okay? So you use be plus the verb with ing, and then you're good. And if you're using be, then you have am, are, is, which you have to use correctly. So I am, you are, they are, we are, he, she, it is. So we make the simple present and the present progressive a little differently when we write and when we speak. Then when we use them for present, simple present, for repeated actions, okay? These are habits, things we do regularly, okay? And we use the present progressive for a continuing action, okay? Something that started a little bit before now and is happening now and will probably continue a little bit into the future. But the main thing is it is happening right now, as in I am speaking to you right now. These diagrams can be very useful to help you understand how the verbs work. Now, present tense verbs use time markers. So every day, every week, every month, every year, etc. Or we can use once, twice, 3 times, once a week, twice a month, 5 times a year, etc. That tells us how often. We can also use those adverbs of frequency that we've talked about before, like always, almost always, often, usually, sometimes, never, okay? But in the present progressive, we use time markers that indicate now. Things like now, right now, these days, nowadays, today, at the moment, at this time, currently, presently. Here are some example sentences. Simple sentence, we see my son always brushes his teeth. Your subject is my son. You have a frequency adverb, which is always. Then your main verb in simple present, brushes his teeth. This is the object. Or they walk their dog every day. I don't call my parents very often. Do you usually study after school? You can probably see all the different time markers in these sentences. Always, every day, very often, usually. In the present progressive, you can see that the form is a little different. The students is our subject. Are reading is our verb in present progressive. And now is our time marker. At the moment, the boss is talking. He isn't doing his homework. Are you listening to me? Okay. Now, there are a couple of different kinds of verbs that we use. So one kind is called a non-action verb. So most English verbs involve an action, some kind of movement, but there are some verbs that have no movement, and they are called non-action or stative verbs. Non-action verbs almost never take an ing form. Common non-action verbs can be grouped into 5 categories. So our first category is a state. These verbs are be, seem, appear, exist. Okay? So we can make sentences like, I am a teacher. I am happy. That's my state. Or he seems sad. That's his state. Or she appears to be very smart. Okay? Or we have possession. Possess means to have something. Okay? So I have 2 dogs. I own a house. I possess 2 dogs and a house and a car. Okay? Feelings and needs. These are those words like, love, hate, feel, want, need, prefer, wish. Okay? These are feelings in your heart and in your head. Or thought. Things like think, believe, know, imagine, understand. Okay? I think that teaching is an interesting job. I believe you will all do well if you study hard. I know that you can learn English if you try. I imagine the world needs to be a better place. I understand that learning English is difficult. And also, non-action verbs can be the senses, like see, hear, taste, and smell. Okay? So you use the simple present with non-action verbs. Don't use the present progressive with these verbs. Okay? So you say, I am a student. You do not say, I am being a student. Okay? He has a dog, not he is having a dog. The children like pizza, not the children are liking pizza. My sister wants a new car, not my sister is wanting a new car. I think that winter is the best season. I am thinking that winter is the best season is not what you should say. I see a stain on my shirt, not I am seeing a stain on my shirt. Now, one thing that you do need to remember is that you will hear native speakers saying some of these words that we're saying is wrong. So sometimes you will hear native speakers saying somebody is wanting something, or I am thinking something, okay? Particularly with want and think, you will hear native speakers say this. But remember that with languages, we often have an informal way of doing something, which is what we do in everyday speaking, and a more formal way of using the language, which is what we do in writing, particularly academic writing, which is what you need to learn how to do. Okay. Okay, a few notes to go with this information. Note 1, the simple present is also used for true facts and schedules. Okay? Things like the Earth's temperature increases every year. This is a fact. Most plants grow in the spring and summer. This is another fact. The bus leaves at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Well, this is a fact, and it's also part of a schedule. So sometimes it's easier to remember schedule. My favorite TV show starts at 8 p.m. Again, we have a time in there. This is a schedule. Okay. So this is another reason or another place where we use the simple present. Note 2, the present progressive can have a future meaning. And that can be confusing. It is commonly used for the near future, which is actions that will happen soon. So I am going to Australia next weekend, right? It's that time marker that talks about the future that tells us that this is not happening now, but happening soon. My friend is moving on Friday. There's our time marker. The students are graduating in 3 days. Okay, so that means 3 days from now. We are seeing a movie tonight. We've got a little star here, which means for movies and plays at a theater, it is common to use the non-action verb see instead of the action verb watch for future time. Okay, so I'm watching a movie now. I'm seeing a movie later. And note 3. Some non-action verbs can take an ing form some of the time, but the meaning of the verb usually changes. And a common example of this is the verb have. I am having pizza for dinner. Okay. This is talking about it in the future, later today. And in this case, having means eating. Okay. We are having fun. In this case, having means experiencing. My sister is having a baby. Having means giving birth to. So there are many different ways that we use have in a very general way to mean a lot of different things. The other one is like this with see. Are you seeing anyone? In this case, seeing means dating, going out with, having a romantic relationship with someone. I am thinking of buying a new car. And in this situation, think means deciding or planning. So you could also say, I am planning to buy a new car. So it does take a little bit of practice to just figure out where to use non-action verbs in the present progressive or the simple tense. But with enough practice, you will get there. Okay, that's it for this one.